Hey guys, Faith First Farm here. Alright, so tonight we're going to start the self-sufficient backyard. Now, I don't have to work tomorrow or Monday, so I figured this is a good time to start this. This is by Ron and Johanna Melchior. So, we're just going to start right here at the beginning. Excuse me. And I'm going to break these into several different videos. So, here we go. Video number 1. Where it all began. Oh, and by the way, alright, I have to reverse and start this again, but we're getting more of the garden area cut, all the tall weeds and everything, and Scott has started working on getting all the weeds and stuff cut in the orchard area, and I waited a little too long to get the goldenrod because it's kind of not as like bright as it was. So anyway, sorry, I had a piece of fuzz in my mouth. I haven't really done much else yet. I mean, I've been working like pretty much day in, day out. These are the first couple of days I've had off together in a while, so I'm going to make use of it, though. I'm going to start, I'm going to be getting some more cleaning and stuff done and try to see what I can do to start getting materials together for the garden beds, hopefully tomorrow, because we've got to start, like, pulling together the materials and stuff for that. I'd like to start constructing those this fall, and our window's closing, so not really closing, but we're into October, so anyway. But here we go. The Self-Sufficient Backyard by Ron and Johanna Melchior. And Chapter 1, 40 Years Homesteading. And this is where it all began. Here we go. I'll try not to, get up in your face here. 40 years. That's how long I've been an off-grid homesteader. Sure, sounds like a long time, but it's gone by in the blink of an eye. I've learned a lot over that span of 40 years, while at the same time racking up a pile of mistakes along the way. And I know we're going to make our mistakes too. I overcame those errors, and when I tally my homesteading successes and failures, the win column far exceeds the losses. I'd like to share my long journey towards self-sufficiency with you, so if you embark on your own path to freedom, you too will wonder where in the world did the time go. Now, I will tell you guys, make sure that you have clocks. I would recommend having clocks that don't need batteries, meaning go to the store, get online, get wind-up clocks. Wind-up alarm clocks. Even, like a solar radio that has a clock on it that you can be charged by solar. Just, prepare for this stuff. My journey began with me spending 20 years in the forest of northern Maine. The first 5 of those years I was alone before I met my wife, Johanna. Fortunately, she has been with me for much of this time, and she shares the fervor of self-reliant living. Johanna has a great deal of experience and knowledge in many of the subjects, and she will collaborate with me to add information from a woman's perspective. Our collective homesteading experience stems from living in cold climates, so we write this book as 2 people who have dealt with harsh winters. Lots of snow and bitter cold, but just about everything we write will be of value, regardless of which climate zone you live in. That's the same goes for us with our videos and everything. There are many good books written on the subjects of homesteading, off-gridding, prepping, and the like. My intent with this book is not to reinvent the wheel. Rather, I will pass on techniques and knowledge that have worked for us. But just as important to me, by the end of this book, I'd like to see my dear reader not only savvy, but brimming with confidence that they too can accomplish whatever they set out to do. And that's like us with making the decision to stay here with Aaron. I want to make sure that he's safe. When all the stuff goes down, I have the know-how on this stuff, and have put it into practice before, and that's what we're working towards. And if we're together, we will accomplish more, and the likelihood of us surviving the hard stuff that's coming is a lot more so. Back during the last ice age, in the 1970s, the Back to the Land movement was in full swing. In 1974, I graduated high school with a diploma in industrial electronics. I was mentally focused on becoming part of the 9-to-5 rat race. I still remember the first job I got as an electronics technician. I worked on a line utilizing microscopes to look at microcircuits while I tested them with an array of test equipment. What sticks in my mind to this day is no idle chatting with anybody else in the line was allowed, and lunch was 12 o'clock on the dot with a 12:30 return, not a minute later. As you continue reading, you will discover I have a streak of renegade in me, so that didn't go over well. But I lasted there for close to 2 years before moving on to my next electronics job. I liked electronics, but these experiences were an eye-opener for me. Surely there's more to life than simply working it away, I thought to myself. The fact that you are reading this book with an interest in self-sufficiency tells me you can relate to that sentiment. Yes, I can. And it's not so much the job, it's just being self-sufficient in and of itself. As you continue reading, I'm a firm believer in the notion that events we experience growing up shape the future path we take through life. Yet I was born in the city of Philadelphia and grew up in the suburbs. So how the deuce did a city kid end up in the woods of northern Maine? That's a puzzler. Obviously, I zigged somewhere along the line when I might have zagged. A supervisor in one of my electronics jobs suggested homesteading during one of our many conversations. That's really the first I'd heard the term. As a young guy, I was physically active in local sports and played drums in a band with my friends. Sliding door.
I'm not done.
So?
I was going back out.
Neither of which had anything to do remotely with homesteading. I'd have to do some research on this homesteading, quote unquote. Turns out homesteading is basically providing for yourself, striving to be self-reliant for food, energy, shelter, medical care, and all basic needs, with hopefully time left over to have some fun and enjoy life. My goal is to rely on myself as much as possible, regardless of what circumstance the world threw at me. To grow, raise, and preserve my own food, provide my own source of power, as well as heat and fuel for cooking, firewood were all skills I put in my self-reliant toolkit. My mindset was one of being prepared for any calamity that might come along, whether man-made or natural. There are any number of reasons why a person might explore this homesteading lifestyle. Independence, pursuit of freedom, a new adventure, a change in life's direction, a desire to live more frugally, to ditch the 9-to-5 rat race, to live in a more environmentally friendly way, or perhaps a concern about how the world is taking shape. And one of ours is also to get healthier. All valid reasons. For us, it's all of the above. Especially when I contrast the freedom I have now with the confinement and strict regimen of my first electronics job. Alright. So. I'm debating.
Get back. Come on.
Yeah. Alright, I'll go through the next little section. It's called The Beginning, the First Homestead. And I'll end it at that one, and then I'll do another video. Alright. My early years in Maine were my first foray into this alternative lifestyle. I went from the hustle and bustle of suburbia, where I was surrounded by humanity, to the slower pace of country living with a much lower population density. LED lights are bothering my eyes. Let's see if I can. It's a little better. Might be a little harder to see, but it's not like over blinding me. I mean, I've got those on, but if by chance, whoops, wow. Those were exciting times and a real education for me. In 1979, I purchased 120 acres of forest. There was a 4-acre overgrown potato field that would become my home for 20 years. I had no knowledge of carpentry, but with the help of common sense, book research, and manpower from a couple of friends one weekend, I built a 2x6 framed house that was generally pretty warm even on the coldest winter night. I say generally because it was a bit drafty if the wind blew hard. I lived Spartan. Spruce boards for my floor, which shrunk so I had gaps that collected dirt daily. Wood countertop and wooden shelves in the kitchen. No working refrigerator or freezer. An outdoor outhouse and hand pump outside for water. I modified an old refrigerator by installing a pipe that extended through the house roof into the freezer refrigerator compartment, which drew in cold air in the winter. In summer, my intent was to use ice I had made and stored in an ice house from the winter to chill my food. My off-grid electrical system was maxed out, trying to run a car radio and tiny TV. Kerosene lamps provided light at night. I did laundry in dual tubs using a washboard for my agitator, and I heated water on a wood stove for bathing in an old cast iron tub. Things changed a little years later when Johanna arrived on the scene. Eventually, we had kitchen cabinets, vinyl and carpet for flooring, and a small RV propane refrigerator. We moved up in the off-grid world. If you are experienced in homesteading and such, you know the lifestyle requires some effort. And if you are new to the idea of living a self-reliant life, well, now you know. Some energy will need to be expended. And yet, you will find those hours of toil will bring some of the greatest joys and satisfaction one can experience in life. You'll be tired at the end of the day, but you'll be brimming with pride over all the wonderful stuff you accomplished for the day. The return you get from your efforts will commensurate with how involved you want to be. We all have our limitations, and this book will be dedicated to suggesting methods and techniques that anybody can use regardless of one's financial resources or physical capacity. You might be questioning whether you have the skills and knowledge necessary to be a homesteader. I hope I don't burst your bubble, but I am nothing special. I have no great powers, super strength, superior intellect, or amazing qualities. I don't feel I do either. If you are looking for me to pull a rabbit out of my hat, you will be waiting for a long time. Same here. But I do have persistence, and I have a penchant for giving everything I do my level best. And I'm working on that, because I haven't always been that way. Those two traits have served me well, and I know they will. As long as you have the desire, you do not need any special skills or knowledge. You will learn as you go, making your mistakes along the way. As you have success, you will build upon that success, just as I did years ago. If by chance you have some of those amazing qualities I mentioned in the last paragraph, then please know you have an advantage I didn't have when I started out. In addition to not possessing any of the aforementioned qualities, I knew nothing about homesteading, living off-grid, self-sufficiency, or self-reliance. I was a city suburbs kid contemplating a completely foreign lifestyle compared to my upbringing. I was not born with a hoe in my hands. I kind of was. I've immersed myself in this lifestyle to the point it is now second nature. And that's exactly how I'm working myself as well. And I'm still, you know, kind of having some rough spots here and there, but it's getting better. Even though I started out with a bare bone Spartan homestead set in a modern era, I utilized many of the old-time skills and techniques from yesteryear. Over time, I've incorporated some of the newer methods for doing things. But make no mistake, even though I've picked and chosen some of the modern ways of doing tasks, I still retain the practical knowledge of the old ways. Who knows when they might come in handy. Before Johanna came along, I was quite capable of cooking a full turkey dinner, butchering, gardening, canning, and preserving my food, plus a myriad of other skills. There are multiple ways of accomplishing a task, and we've tried many of them. We will sort this stuff out for you and tell you what works best for us. The information we provide may work well for you directly, or you may have to adapt and modify it to suit your particular situation. My advice is to try different methods and see what works for you. Take in all the information you can. Remember, I've said do your research. Do your research, you guys. Hone your skills. Everything will go into your toolkit for future use. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and end this right here. And we'll go ahead and get this up there. And I don't know if I'm going to do another one tonight or not. But the next one is called Time for a Change, a Move to the Wilderness. And that's also going to include the Final Frontier, the Last Homestead. Before we go into Chapter 2, the Homestead Plan. So, all right. And that's it for that one. And I will go ahead and get off from here. And I will see you guys on the next video. Faith First Farm and Homestead. And we are out. Bye, guys.